And now the next time you attend a Lions, Tigers, Pistons, or Red Wings game, should you be taxed for it? That's the question this morning. Detroit is considering the idea. The city council asked the nonpartisan group Citizens Research Council of Michigan to study the impact an admissions tax could have on Detroit. It would include sporting events, concerts, and more. Well, why? The city council wants to reduce property taxes, but needs another way to make up that money, of course. So here's what the report found. If you were taxed 3% to attend events at Comerica Park, Ford Field, LCA, the Masonic Temple, Fox Theater, and Fisher Theater, it would raise $14 million for the city. If that tax was 10%, it would raise nearly $47 million. And joining us now to talk more about the report is Eric Lufer, the president of the Citizens Research Council. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me with you.
So let's just kind of get to the nuts and bolts. Why did the city council ask you guys to do a research on this?
So there's different types of economic activity, and the city's able to benefit from people and businesses locating in the city. They're able to benefit from income earned by people working in the city. But as the city has grown since bankruptcy, there's a lot of consumption going on. People coming down for events, people eating at restaurants, shopping in the stores, the new stores that are opening, things like that. And the city really doesn't benefit from that. So this is a way of tapping into some of that consumption and helping it feed the city's ability to provide services for quality of life. And as your introduction said, perhaps provide some property tax relief.
Well, you know, Eric, most people don't like to hear the word tax.
They don't like to hear the word tax, but they sure want the police and fire to show up. And when we come down and visit for a game or a concert, we want to feel safe walking to and from the venue. We want quality streets. We want to be able to get in and out safely. So there's some price to pay for that.
Okay, so let's talk about price. I don't know if I can put you on the spot. Say, for instance, a family of four, want to go to an event. And I know it just would depend, right, obviously, but how much extra could they be looking at, I suppose, or what's a good example?
Yeah, so you gave a couple of ranges there at the beginning, and what we did is we looked at other cities around us and what they do. Why try to reinvent the wheel and what's economically viable? So as low as 3%, you're talking about $15 million, so $100 ticket, you're paying $3 extra. 10%, now you're talking $50 million in revenue, and that same ticket, you're paying $10 extra. So it's a little bit of a tax, and we know tickets can be expensive, so that $100 is perhaps on the low point. But it's something to pay a little bit extra to get in, and the question is, Lions are a hot ticket.
Right.
Are you really going to object that much to a 10% tax? Taylor Swift comes in town, people are going to pay whatever they can to get into that concert.
Walk me through, and correct me if I'm wrong, did the analysis also look at, say, for instance, if a sports team is having just an exceptional season, but then maybe a couple years later it's not? Like, does it fluctuate? Is it fixed? What does that look like?
Yeah, so this puts the city at the mercy of the teams a little bit. If they have down years, and we've seen that recently with the Pistons, and the Red Wings continue to miss the playoffs. The Tigers, up until midway last year, were struggling to be successful. And not many people are coming to the games, so the revenues are going to suffer during that. But during the good years, when the Tigers are rolling and the Lions are on a playoff run, tickets are going to surge and revenues will come in.
Now, how long did it take the group to look into the economic impact for Detroit?
We'd spend about half a year doing this study.
Were there any other metrics besides looking at ticket sales, price points, or it was just pretty?
Well, yeah, we looked into what we like to think are elements of a good tax, right? Does it cause disruption? So we looked at, in other cities, do people stop going to the events because of the tax? We didn't find that to be the case. Is it administratively difficult? Well, it doesn't cost anything for the venues. It's pretty simple for the purchaser. It's just a little bit more on the price. So you're really leaning into the people at the ticket window or Ticketmaster, things like that, to administer the tax. Pretty simple. So elements like that. Is it regressive? It's already cost a lot to go to the the events, it adds a little bit more. So in that way, a little bit regressive, yeah.
I see. Well, there's a lot more to dive in with this conversation because, yes, you did look and compare what other cities in and out of the state of Michigan, of course, how they're doing it. So again, we're going to take a look into how other cities are utilizing these taxes after a quick short break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us, we're talking about an idea to tax sporting events and concerts in Detroit. The city asked the Citizens Research Council of Michigan to study the impact that could have on revenue. 34 states already have some kind of tax like this. You're looking live at Chicago right now, where they impose a 9% tax on tickets, 3% tax on admission fees, and a more than 10% tax on streaming services. They raised $344 million last year, and Eric Lufer is here with us. He's the president of the Citizens Research Council in Michigan, and thank you for sticking around with us. So not only did you do a deep dive on what that would mean for the city of Detroit, but you also looked beyond the state, correct?
Yeah, we looked at other cities. The idea is Michigan's Constitution says that cities should have more than a property tax to fund their services, but then shortly after the Constitution was adopted, the legislature enacted a law that says only if they pass a law to authorize taxes can that happen. We know there's still some anti-Detroit sentiment, so the idea is look broadly, how could all of Michigan benefit from something like this? So we looked at Grand Rapids, East Lansing, Ann Arbor, Lansing, where there are other sporting events, big concert halls, things like that. So just help the legislature understand this. It doesn't need to be a Detroit-only thing, and there's a lot of entertainment consumed throughout the whole state, and it would be up to those cities whether they think the bang is worth the buck to try to do something like this.
So for those who may be just joining us right now, so earlier, before we went to break, you touched on how this could help with public safety, police, fire. But how else could this money be used? Yeah,
one of the things we looked at is property tax relief. Detroit property owners pay some of the highest property tax rates in the nation, among the highest in the state. And that's a disincentive to be in the city. While we see good things happening, it's sort of tempered by that high property tax relief. So we looked at that, and if they authorized the tax at that 10% rate that we talked about, it'd be as much as 5.7 mil reduction. The city currently levies 19, almost 20 mils. So it's about a quarter of what the city levies for its own purposes. You would still have the county and school taxes and things like that. So it's a little bit, everything helps in providing relief. It's not going to eliminate the property tax.
I see. I believe I was reading somewhere that 34 other states have something very similar. Makes me wonder, is Detroit, is Michigan, are we kind of behind the 8 ball here? How do you see it?
On this one, we are.
Okay.
Right? I was asked in a different interview, right, would entertainers just not come to Detroit to avoid this? But you can't go to Chicago and
skip
as
us.
an alternative. You can't go to Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Atlanta. All these cities are doing it, and you think 34 states, well, why would Idaho need to do this, or Iowa, things like that? So any state that has a big city where these concerts are coming, these big, Les Miserables or things like that, they're already levying this type of tax, and Detroit is an anomaly in not having a tax of this sort.
So the Detroit City Council obviously asked your group to look into this real quick before we wrap it up. Is there an appetite for something like this?
I haven't heard a lot of pushback.
Okay.
People recognize that they're benefiting from the city hosting these events, and we'll have to see. We have to get it through the legislature, and we see all the dysfunction going on up there. Whether they're willing to sit down and talk rationally about something like this, we'll have to see.
To be continued.
To be continued.
Thank you, Eric, so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.